What's happening, YouTube? Eric Bauer, back again. The one, the only, High Defamation Podcast. With an impromptu YouTube video. It's a little loud. I'm going to turn it down, don't worry. But let's hear this fucking intro. So good. What is it, you ask? Never thought you would. Agony from Sweden. Watch me struggle. Anyhow, we are listening to Agony from Sweden, formerly known as Agony, also from Sweden. Only difference being that Agony was spelled with an I instead of a Y. And they played DB, anti-Cymex style hardcore. And then they abruptly switched over to this more thrashing sound. Toured infamously with Discharge for the Grave New World tour. Imagine seeing that shit. But that's what we're rocking out to right now. And yeah, it's an impromptu video. It's just a weird time, and it's a one of those scenarios where I feel like there needs to be content out there. Marty's been putting out content. Jason Hook just put out some content. Ben's always pretty regular with content. Mr. Smasher, Ground Zero Salem, Metal Theologian, Dark Hymns from the Cold North, The Dark Path. Those are all the channels that I generally watch with the most consistency, and everybody's been doing pretty good. The Dark Path's been pretty sick, but before that happened, he was uploading. Marty's been flooding YouTube with videos. He just posted one last night, and fucking phenomenal video. I'm gonna do a response to it. In fact, this is not that response, something totally different. What I did here, because I wanted to talk about some shit. I just pulled some stuff that I have never talked about on this channel. It's nothing new. Just stuff that I've gotten over the years and filed, and in the fucking 5 years now that I've been on YouTube, I've never pulled off the shelf to show you in a video. So that's what we're doing today, because fuck it. It's Thursday, it's my Friday. How about that? Even though I haven't been anywhere in about 4 weeks, working from home. And I guess I should count myself as lucky that I have work to do at home. But we're not going to get too much into that. We're just going to jump right into shit. You want to see tapes first or vinyl? What? I'm not even live and I'm asking questions from an imaginary audience. Let's start with some fucking tapes, man. The first thing I want to talk about is Hydrovane with rather death than false of faith. And I don't know if you're familiar with Hydrovane. I wouldn't blame you if you weren't. They're pretty unknown. This actually was reissued within like the last 4 years, I want to say, by the Crypt. Awesome treatment. They also reissued Hydrovane's follow-up, but for my money, this is Hydrovane at the best. UK thrash. I don't know, often compared to Sabbath from the UK, but I don't really hear it. This is far more influenced by the likes of Slayer. I would say specifically mid-era Slayer, Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, a little bit of Hell Awaits to be heard on this slab of Blazing Fury. It's fucking awesome, and that artwork is I don't really know what's going on in that painting, but it's great. Wouldn't mind picking up the vinyl reissue of this, but you know, this is fucking, had this for a long fucking time, and it rules. Get into it. It's this format for this album, it's not easy to find these days, I don't believe, but the LP from the Crypt, I'm pretty sure they still have it up on their website. It's good shit. Just raging, thrashing, satanic evilness, the way thrash ought to be. Alright, we'll look at another tape. Artillery. This is actually a double cassette. Terror Squad and their debut, Fear of Tomorrow, was released by RC Records sometime after both albums were released. Look at that. There's another great album cover, which is an odd album cover because it really has nothing to do with either of the first two Artillery albums. J-Card's pretty basic, got lyrics, and I don't know, it's Artillery. Do I need to go too in depth about this band? These two albums and the album that followed it are fucking essential. Fear of Tomorrow is probably one of my favorite thrash records of all time. And it's funny because I was reading this morning before I started work, just scrolling around on Facebook, and I followed King Fowley on there, and he posted a conversation topic about what is thrash, and Artillery came up, and general consensus seems to be that Artillery is not thrash, but I think it's all perception, right? This album thrashes hard. It's catchy. It's fucking just fist in the air, beer drinking. It's a good time. Both records. Kind of has a little bit of a punk attitude, which is one of the things that really attracted me to this band back when I discovered them. I remember seeing the cover of Fear of Tomorrow with the skeleton guy with the pistol, and originally back in the day I thought it was a pretty hysterical cover, but in retrospect there are way more special album covers out there, like Infernal Majesty, Hell Witch, to name a few. Anyway, this is another one. One of the things that I kind of, when I pulled this shit, none of these are really easily accessible or common. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm flexing a little bit. Deal with it. Artillery. How many times have I... Woo! Right. Next up, got another UK project. Skyclad, with their first album, The Wayward Sons of Mother Earth. Released by Noise. 1991? 1991. And if you're not familiar with Skyclad, which, I don't know, should you be? I guess. Kind of an important name in this type of music, especially if you are at all interested in UK thrash. Specifically, the band Sabbath, who I've already mentioned, because the most notable players in Sabbath went on to do Skyclad. This is probably the biggest J card of any cassette I own. There's a band. Ridiculous. You got the Noise Records merchandise card on here with the Doomsday hotline or newsline. 1-900-246-DOOM. Somebody should call that number and see if it's still operational or if anybody answers. Anyway, as far as this band goes, you've got notably several characters. Is it several characters? No, it's just one. Martin Walkier from fucking Sabbath. And this sounds a lot like Sabbath, like Dreamweaver era Sabbath. Not so much History of a Time to Come, which is actually my favorite Sabbath album. And I almost pulled it to show in this video, but I didn't. Dreamweaver is fucking excellent too. And that's more reminiscent of what you're going to get here. This didn't come out too far after Dreamweaver. And it more than makes up for that third Sabbath album. Is it Morning Has Fallen or something like that? Some bullshit. It's not a good album. This more than makes up for that misstep. And they would become less thrashy, more folky, and the folk elements really do start coming up on this record, but not overwhelmingly so. And they would definitely fall deeper into that hole as they progressed. They just put out a new album like last year or the year before, and it's not too bad. Nowhere near the freaking watermark of this album. Fucking rules. The shit, dare I say, it's perfect. Perfect album. I love it. Fucking rules. Last tape. It was just smashed into the chair leg. Yeah. What am I going to show you, you ask? Hobbs, Angel of Death from Australia. A steam hammer. This fucking album. I don't know what I can say about this album. A lot's been said about this album. It's Australian thrash, and it is firmly entrenched in the school of Slayer. Much like that Hydra vein, this is far more vicious, far more satanic, far more blasphemous, far more occult-driven. It's a cheesier record, I think, even though that cover painting's not nearly the level of cheese as that Hydra vein, but cheesier in that, you know, like, maybe cheesy was the wrong word. The commitment that Hobbs has here on putting up this evil persona, I mean, it holds the album together. But if there's any detriment to this record, that's also part of it, because it's a lot, and it's you know, it's goofy shit. But this record is blazing. It's savage. It's fucking catchy. There's no way that you won't find yourself just caught up in every track on this album. But the high point for me is the second to last track, Brotherhood. That fucking cut smokes. It is so good. I urge you to check out this album if you never have. If you like Slayer, if you like fucking Infernal Majesty, the Hydra vein, you're gonna love this fucking album. It's fucking good. So good. When did it come out? Let's see if I can tell you that. 1988. It rules. That's all I gotta say about it. So let's show you some vinyl. 4 tapes, 14 minutes in. The first thing, record-wise, we're gonna look at Toxin from Germany with their album Misanthropy. I got a cat losing his mind in here. George, you gotta relax, man. Gotta relax. Anyway, all right, sorry. Anyway, Toxin. Look at that cover artwork. Fucking rules. This album is kind of an unheralded classic, in my opinion. And a lot of people would probably say that it's kind of a reach to call this a classic, given how obscure it is, because not many people know about it. As far as the album goes, it is some expertly penned German thrash metal, but it doesn't sound as Teutonic as, you know, the regular players in the Teutonic scene, whether we're talking Sodom, Destruction, Creator, Tankard, the early shit, granted. This came out in 1991, so it's kind of late. If anything, out of all those German bands, it sounds like kind of like Sodom, Agent Orange, for lack of a better comparison from their countrymates. Also has a lot in common with Violent Force, who I always felt were a little bit more punky than a lot of the other German bands that were putting records out at the time. Excellent stuff. And this is no exception. It can throw you off a little bit though, because they swap vocal duties. So it's kind of odd to wrap your head around initially. It ends up blending though, and the musicianship on this record is one of the high points. Deceptively good. It's simple, but it's so compellingly composed and sincere, which is definitely a high point. This album rules, and I'd love to see more people talk about it. They have another album as well. I think they have 2 or 3 records in total. And they have an EP that followed this, which is almost as good, but not quite. Rules. Toxin. Next album we're going to talk about. This is a fucking banger right here. As they say, fire all day. Shaw with Beware. Probably a top 10 album cover for me, if I'm honest. Fucking love that artwork. And Shaw were a thrash band from Russia. This album was released by SNC Records, which was like the Eastern Bloc record label, especially for Russian artists, metal or not. Came out during communism. I don't think they had to face a lot of the same policies as some of the bands from Yugoslavia, former Czechoslovakia, former communist states of Poland. A lot of those countries had restrictions about metal and punk. Finland as well. West Germany. Anyway, this album, Russian thrash, probably the Russian thrash record. It was reissued by Headsplit on tape. I don't know if it ever got new vinyl treatment. If not, it's a definite project that I think could be taken up by The Crypt. That's upside down. I love these labels. They're just so like communist. No frills, no bells and whistles. What you get is what you get. And what you get with this record is some Bay Area thrash worship, which, I don't know. I think it's funny when people lump all of the Bay Area bands into Bay Area thrash, because all of those Bay Area bands had different sounds. Whether you're Testament or Heathen or Forbidden or Exodus, I would say that Shaw has more in common with Testament and maybe Megadeth than a lot of those other East Bay projects. It's awesome though. It is a great record, especially when you look at it as a time capsule, given the political environment from the country from which it came, during the time which it came out, which again, I think it said 1991, which is a little bit late. So, no, 89. It's still a little bit late for the thrash train, because it sounds a couple years behind. But that's another part of its charm. This album's awesome. Any way that you can find this, I urge you to get it. Fucking rules. Oh, this one's... Buckle in, people. Should I wait till this track's over that we're listening to right now? Because I'm gonna have to flip the record momentarily. So what are y'all doing? I hope you're all quarantining safely, sheltering in place, avoiding the outdoors at all costs. People are fucking crazy out there. I've only been out of the house like 3 times since we started doing the shelter in place here, which is 3-4 weeks ago now. And I'm still seeing people just fucking hanging out. No regard to distance. People keep getting sick. It's fucked. But I already said I wasn't going to talk about that much. So, let me just say, I hope you all are staying healthy, being smart, being safe. This is a long song. I thought it was almost over. And it is. Imagine that. Let's flip it. A lot of fucking hair on this shit. I talked about this Agony record before, like a bunch of years back. And yeah, it rules. Just thrashing goodness. It's kind of fitting, given what we're talking about. So, yeah, on to the next record. This is probably one of my favorite records that I own. One of my favorite records of all time, probably, when it comes down to it. Necro Death. Fucking, with their debut, Into... Shit's falling. Into the Macabre. Ah. Look at that. Fucking Italian thrash masterpiece. Now, a lot of people will probably say they think the follow-up, Fragments of Insanity, is better, which I don't agree with. Sort of gatefold, just lyrics, credits, thanks. I don't agree that the second album is better. It's different. It's kind of a different format altogether. It's still a thrash record. This is thrash in the way that Obsessed by Cruelty is thrash, or Bestial Devastation is thrash, or Endless Pain is thrash. This is barbaric, satanic, thrashing speed metal. It's It's fucking good. It borders on black metal. It's just so good. I don't know that I'm going to come up with many more adjectives for this record than just to say, it's so good! So good! When it hits your lips. I feel like the record player is still loud. I don't know. Tell me in the comments if the record player is drowning me out. Yeah, this album's awesome. It's really like, I can't do it justice if I try to talk about it much more. Just say the Necro Death is fucking legendary. The follow-up to this, like I said, it's different. It's still fucking great. It lacks, what the second album lacks that this one has is that barbaric first wave of black metal edge that this retains in spades. It's just phenomenal. Necro Death also did early on a split with Schizo, another fucking great Italian band, and that split is fucking awesome as well. Like Schizo Death or Necro Schizo, something like that. Mondo Cane, yeah, pre Mike Patton album Mondo Cane, but just as good but totally different. Anyway, Necro Death, shit fucking smokes. Next album I talked about on the podcast. This is fucking another favorite of mine. It's not an original, which is a bummer, but this one's hard to find too. Not as hard as the original to find. They're around if you look hard enough. I haven't checked on Discogs either recently, so I couldn't tell you what the landscape looks like there, but I'm talking about Lobotomy Ax with their second album, Nada e Como Parece. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It's Portuguese. And I took a lot of Spanish in high school, no Portuguese, so I can speak and read some of it, but the pronunciation's all fucked. Anyway, this was reissued by Blackwater Records, who fucking rule when it comes to reissues like this. They also reissued the debut, which is a fucking phenomenal record. It's another one that's totally different than this album, and it's really, this is a band that's really hard for me to choose favorites between the debut and the follow-up. The debut is a lot rawer. It's Lobotomy is from Brazil, if I didn't already say that. And their first album has a lot in common with Sarcophago Inri, early Sepultura, like pre-schizophrenia, but a little bit more punk. It's got a lot more in common with the first Ratos de Parau album, not the follow-up on Cogumelo, but the punk rock Ratos de Parau. And they always retain that punk edge, but their first album was a straight-up DB hardcore record, which the first Lobotomy Ax has a lot in common with, if you were to blend that DB with like Sarcophago fucking barbarity. Anyway, got a printed inner, which is pretty nice to see the band. This is just an energetic fucking rager, and it's another picture in time of a band that did a little bit of morphing throughout the years, never to its detriment though. I think everything this band put out is solid, and that cover art it's really ridiculous, but I love it, man. It's another part of the charm of this album. It's a brain sundae. Who doesn't want that? Anyway, as far as the tracks on here, they fucking rule. Ratos da Cidade, which I'm pretty sure is City Rats. My favorite on here, which is fucking, I want to say the title track. The track Drugs, it's a good one. Sem Palavras. It's just a fucking phenomenal record. If you're into Brazilian metal, check it out. It's awesome. I got 2 more. Actually, I got 1 more, and it's a doozy. Fucking Sacrifice, Torment and Fire, from Canada. It's their debut record on Diabolic Force, Fringe. I want to say it was also released by Metal Blade in the States, Restless Records. I've talked about Sacrifice before. Their Soldier of Fortune album is fucking phenomenal. It's another favorite. For Determination, also phenomenal. I don't want to say that Sacrifice ever released anything bad. They got a little bit more accessible as they aged. But I mean, that's what happens. Love that Diabolic Force logo. This is another one that's hard to pigeonhole. Is it thrash? Yeah, definitely. Is it almost black metal? Yeah, there's a little bit of that in here. First wave stuff. Does it also border on some death metal, like Possessed? Seven Churches style? Yeah, for sure. This album's got everything for everyone. If you're interested at all in fucking harsh, ancient metal. You can't go wrong with this album. That's another all-time favorite. Like I said, I like basically all of their shit, but this is for me the pinnacle of Sacrifice's career. This beats anything by Razor, anything by Exciter. This is the shit right here. It's up there with like Slaughter, Strapata. I don't have much more to say about it than that. It fucking rules. And that's all I have to talk about. So it's been real, and thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you kill some time that you would otherwise just be trapped at home doing whatever the fuck. Thursday night, hopefully this will be uploaded either later tonight, tomorrow morning. I want to say tomorrow night being Friday, we are talking about doing another live stream. If you missed last week's on Marty Worm's channel, it was Marty, Jason Hook, Ground Zero Salem, fucking Ben Smasher, Brain Smasher, and myself. And then the Dark Path ended up joining at one point. It was just a fucking chat. That stream went on for like 6 hours. I was on it for maybe 3. So it's on Marty's channel. It's a long watch. There's some funny shit on there. We're just kicking back, hanging out, drinking. Good time. We're thinking about doing it again tomorrow. I don't know on whose channel, but you'll see it when it comes up if you're subscribed to any of us. And I suggest if you're not subscribed to any of those other channels I mentioned, fucking do it. All of them are worthwhile. Love to get some other people involved as well, maybe for future streams. Who knows how long we're gonna be stuck inside, folks. This is a ever-evolving mess that we are in as a species. It's just gonna take laying low to get through it. Anyway, that's all I got for you guys and gals. Peace out, YouTube. Keep it real. Take care of yourselves.